Hi, this is Julie Harland, and I'm your Math Gal. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where you could search for any of my videos organized by topic. All right, we're going to do synthetic division on this problem. Notice that we have something to the third power, so there should be 4 terms. Okay. And we've got to make sure that it starts with the highest power and goes in descending order. So we have the x cubed, the x squared, the x, and the constant. So that's great. And we're dividing by x minus 3. Remember, it has to be linear. There can be no x squared or higher term. It has to just be x. Later we'll go on what to do. I'll show you how to do it if it was something like 2x minus 3. All right, so we start off by taking this, setting it equal to 0. So I'm going to write, you don't have to write this down. You probably could figure out that means you're just going to put the 3 in the little box, but I like to do it this way. All right, so we put the 3 in the box, and then we put the coefficients here in order. Now remember, this minus sign in front of the x squared means the coefficient is -1. Be careful there. So we've got 2, right? You have the x cubed coefficient, the x squared coefficient, the x coefficient, and the constant. And remember, our remainder goes down here. So you have this funny little half box here and another half box here. And how do we start? We start with the first coefficient and just bring it down under the line. And we multiply that by what's in the box and put it up under the next coefficient. Okay, so we go 2 times 3 is 6. That goes right here. And now we add these two numbers. -1 plus 6 is 5. By the way, feel free to put the video on pause to see if you could finish it on your own. All right, so we have 5 times 3 is 15, and we add those two. And then we have 19 times 3 is 57, and we add those two. And in the box will be your remainder. These will be the coefficients of your quotient polynomial. Remember, that's the constant, so that would be the x term and the x squared term. So it's going to start out with the x squared term. 2x squared plus 5x plus 19 plus 58 divided by what you divided by, and remember what you divided by, it's up here, x minus 3. Okay. All right, now we want to check our answer. This takes a little doing. We've got to multiply x minus 3 times this whole quotient, 2x squared plus 5x plus 19, and then we're going to add 58. So to check our answer is a little bit more work because we can't use FOIL. We have to have 2x squared plus 5x plus 19 times x minus 3, and then after we do that, we're going to add 58. Now, there are many ways to multiply polynomials. You could use the box method. I have a video on that. You could use the distributive property method. Lots of different ways to do it. I'm going to use a little box method. I find students like it this way. So I'm going to make a little box. 3 by 2, because I'm doing 3 terms times 2 terms. So I have 2x squared, 5x, 19, and x minus 3. And then I just multiply everything up here by everything on the side. So 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. 5x times x is 5x squared. 19 times x is 19x. By the way, that's just the distributive property of x times 2x squared plus 5x plus 19. So it's like taking that x and distributing it to this whole thing. Okay? Oops. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing. The next thing would be to multiply -3 times everything in there. So let's do -3 times 2x squared is -6x squared. -3 times 5x is -15x. And -3 times 19 is -57. And then we have to add like terms. So there's only one constant. These are the two x terms here, the x squared terms, and the x cubed term. I'm just going to write my answer up here. So the highest degree of the x cubed term, there's only one, so this is 2x cubed. For the x terms, I have 5x squared and a minus 6x squared, so that is a negative x squared. For the two x terms, I have a 19x and a minus 15x. That adds up to plus 4x. And for my constant, I have negative 57. All right, so in other words, using this method of multiplying 2x squared plus 5x plus 19 times x minus 3, this is what I got. And then remember, we're going to add our remainder. Now, you might have done the multiplication a little bit different way. This is just my work showing how I did it. But the thing is, whatever method you use, multiplying these two, you should get this answer here. And now we just add the final like terms, 2x cubed minus x squared plus 4x, and then negative 57 plus 58 is plus 1. And we're going to check that against what we divided by, which was up here, 2x squared minus x squared plus 4x plus 1. And that's exactly what I got here. So that's how I know this is the correct answer. Now it's easier just to go ahead and do the long division again, but I always like doing the real check to make sure. Okay, so we will do another problem like this on another video, and again, we're going to have to make sure always that we put the coefficients in order, and if we have a missing term, we have to put a 0 in that coefficient, etc. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where you can view all of my videos, which are organized by topic.